Okay, Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. So in this slide, we are going to have a look at how to plan for a technical description. So since that we are focusing on technical communication and you are required to present about a product technically, okay? So product technically, okay, and in this context you're going to describe about the product in detail. So when you are describing about a product in detail, you are going to, let's say, so this is the product, so you're going to explain about the product from left to right, top to bottom, from this angle to this angle, and perhaps also from this angle to this angle. Apart from that, when you are describing about a product, maybe you're going to mention from the back to the front or from the front to the back of the product. Right? So before you are giving a technical description, you have to plan for it. So how to plan for it? Right, so there are basically 9 strategies to plan an effective technical description. So number 1, you need to identify the subject or the product. Okay, so what is the product that you want to present? Okay, so what is a product? All right, and then you need to be very specific about the product. Okay, next, look at the purpose and who will be your audience for the description. So you are going to answer 2 questions over here. So question number 1 is what is the purpose, and question number 2 will be who will be your audiences. Okay, so for the purpose, all right, maybe this one is going to be informative, okay, whereby you are just going to inform about the product, or you can also try to persuade people, okay, persuasive, in the sense to buy the product. Okay, and when it comes to audiences, right, you are supposed to take care or take into consideration between technical versus non-technical audiences. Okay, right, next you need to do the research about the object. Okay, so research here you can use the sources taken from the internet. Okay, all right, after that, okay, strategy number 4, identify what are the main parts and the subparts of the product. Okay, sometimes you can find the main parts of the product but it does not have any subparts. Shouldn't be a problem. Okay, but when it comes to a product, of course you are going to have the main parts, so subparts here will be optional. Right, number 5, select sources of description. Okay, we're going to have a look into detail what does it mean by sources of description after this. So when you are describing about a product, okay, in technical communication, you need to use sources of description. Number 6, use specific language. Of course, we're going to present in English because this course is English for vocational purposes or English for technical communication. Alright, but again, how to present it effectively. Okay, what kind of language that you need to use. Number 7, plan and develop graphics, because most of the times you are required to use graphics, okay, in your presentation. So when it comes to graphic, you have to label it for each of the main part or the sub part. Okay, you have to label each part of the each main part or the sub part of the product. Right, number 8, plan a format. Okay, technical description writing outline. So we are going to share with you the outline afterwards. And lastly, you need to review and revise before you start presenting. Okay, so number 1, strategy number 1 here, identify the subject or object or the product. So be clear about the object. So what do you want to present? Okay, is it an object such as a stapler or a computer? So you can see it clearly. Okay, or is it a product such as shoes or wallet, or is it a software, programs, or applications? So from my past experiences teaching this course, okay, normally your seniors or we prefer you to present about tangible product. So what is tangible product? Something that you can see and you can touch, okay? Even though that when you are presenting for the first assessment, the product is not with you, but basically we know what is the product that you are presenting and we can touch the product or we can feel the product, okay? So that is strategy number 1. Strategy number 2, define the purpose and who will be the audiences for the description. Okay, so you need to clarify the purpose of your description. So as I have mentioned to you, whether it is going to be informative or persuasive. For informative, you are just going to inform the audiences. So this is the latest product that we have and that's it. Okay, you are just going to tell them about the product. But for persuasive speech, you are going to persuade them either to buy, okay, to buy or to use the product. Okay, all right, and then what do you want from your audiences? So this is going to be your ultimate goal. So is it going to be informative? This one will determine whether it is going to be informative speech or informative description or persuasive description. And do not forget to consider who will be your audiences. Okay, are they general public or experts? Okay, as I have told you before, it is going to be between technical versus, okay, non-technical audiences. When we are referring to technical audiences, okay, they are going to be the experts. So when you have some terminologies, okay, alright, terms that you are going to use in presenting about the product, so they will understand about it. Okay, let's say if you're going to present about a new gaming chair that uses pneumatic or hydraulic system, okay, so when you have that kind of terminology, so the experts or the technical people, those with technical background of knowledge will understand what are you trying to say by giving the definition or the terminologies. However, on the other hand, when you are talking about non-technical audiences, okay, we consider them as the general public. Okay, so in this context, when you are presenting, please make sure that everyone who is listening to the presentation, alright, they are going to understand about it easily. So they don't need to have some background knowledge about the product. Instead, by listening to your presentation, they can understand what are you trying to say. Okay. Right, research the object. So please do some background research about the object on the internet, okay, to enable you to understand the subject matter better. Okay, so you can search about the product in the internet and you can use it in your presentation and also in your infographic. Okay, but to avoid copyright issue, okay, or plagiarism issue, you need to cite the sources. So we will be teaching you how to avoid this kind of thing. So you need to cite the sources where you have taken the references from. Okay, so this is for the references. Okay, next, identify the parts and subparts of the product. So you need to put the product by separately describing it into its parts and subparts. Okay, subparts here if any. So if there is no subparts, shouldn't be a problem. Okay, for example, here we have a computer. So when you are describing about it, okay, maybe you put it into several main parts such as the monitor, part number 1, keyboard, part number 2, external disk drives, okay, part number 3, okay, and lastly central processing unit, part number 4. So you can see that there are 4 main parts when it comes to a computer. Okay, let's say when you are talking about the monitor, when you are presenting about the monitor, so maybe there are other subparts about the monitor. For example, the screen, okay, the board, switch, and so on. Okay, right, the same goes when you are presenting about a simple wooden pencil. So for a wooden pencil, we're going to begin with the lead. So the lead is the one or the core in the middle of the pencil, the one in black. Okay, and then you have the wooden barrel. Okay, I'm not really good with drawing, but I am trying my very best to draw it for you. Okay, so this is going to be the pencil. So this is the wooden barrel. Okay, this is the lead over here. All right. Okay, and then you are going to have the eraser. So this is going to be your eraser. Okay, and then the metal clip that holds the barrel and eraser together. So most probably you're going to have the metal clip here. Okay, just to attach it together. Alright, so this is the wooden barrel. Right, this is the eraser. And this will be the metal clip. Alright, so this is how you can identify the main parts and subparts of the product that you're going to present. Okay, strategy number 5 will be on selecting the sources of description. So when you are describing about the product, sources of description will be very helpful because it is going to help you in terms of being descriptive. So you're describing in very descriptive manner. So you can use size, length, diameter, okay, width, weight. For example, be specific. It is 1 kilogram, for instance. Okay, and then the color, maybe you're going to have whether it is red, blue, yellow, for instance. Okay, and then the model numbers. All right, so maybe Philips. Okay, 1, 2, 3 AZ, for example. Okay, and so on and so forth. All right, so it is not only limited to the one on the screen, but there are many actually. Okay, number 6, use a specific language or terms when it comes to technical description. Okay, for example, if you're going to explain about or the latest sports car model, so if you're going to state it just like that, therefore it is not really technical. Okay, but if you're going to mention that, okay, the latest sports car model is the Peugeot RCZR, so this is going to be more on technical description. Okay, right, the same goes if you're referring to the speed. If you are just mentioning that the car is fast, then it is more on the general information, but for technical description, you have to say it, or you have to tell the audiences how fast is the car. So in this context, it is 250 kilometers per hour. Okay, plan and develop graphics. As you can see, this is like a product, okay, which is a stapler, and you have the main parts here being stated. Okay, starting from the hammer. Alright, this is part 1, staple, crimper, handle, carrier, rivet, base, anvil, and pin. Okay, so you are going to highlight all of the main parts over here. Remember that the first assessment, you're going to work in a group of 3 or a pair work. Okay, so you will be taking the turns to explain each of the main parts there. And maybe you're going to highlight, okay, what happened if, let's say, pin over here disappear. So you can say that the stapler cannot be used. Okay, so it means that you need to highlight all of the important aspects, okay, all the benefits of having that particular parts to the product. Okay, that is how you are supposed to do it. Okay, so this is planning a format, right? So in the introduction, what do you need to include? Okay, and then when it comes to the body paragraph, okay, you're going to have the main part 1 and or the subparts, if any, main part 2, okay, and main part 3, and lastly the conclusion. So this is how you are going to organize your technical description. Okay, class. Right, and lastly, okay, step number 9 or strategy number 9, start by reviewing your audience, okay, whether you got it correct. Who will be your audiences, okay, technical versus non-technical. What is the purpose of you presenting it, okay, whether it is informative versus persuasive, and then the situation, right? For example, okay, if you are talking about a gaming chair, okay, the recent gaming chair, for example, right, this is suitable because of the PDPR or online learning, okay, for instance. Then you move on to the content. Have you covered everything there? Okay, fulfill the requirement. Okay, and then how do you organize your points? Remember the format. Okay, this is under format as well, and then the transitions from one main part to another main part. Okay, for graphics, right, you need to make sure that it is relevant to the point that you are presenting. Okay, and then sentence structure, right, sentence structure, it is going to be in the form of present tense. Remember, when you are presenting about a product, okay, it is going to be on that day itself. So you're going to be like a representative of a company and you are presenting about the latest product. So grammatical issues will be also taken into consideration for the reviewing and the revising part. Do not forget to check the spelling, and lastly the punctuation. Okay, or punctuation in Malay it is called tanda bacaan. Beri tanda bacaan, full stop, comma, colon, semicolon, and so on and so forth. Alright, so that's all from me. Thank you very much for listening and watching to the presentation. That's all. Thank you very much, and Assalamualaikum. Goodbye.